holy smokes. I don't know if well, of course you remember the Sheffield brawl there. So single-handedly took on their whole team.
Were you there for that one then?
Yeah, I was there for that one.
What was that? But let's get this started with a bang. What was that like?
It was scary, bunch of knuckleheads over there. And who was it that came right off the bench and just cross-checked Barry Nygaard, skated right off the bench like 100 miles an hour, cross-checked him right in the head while he was down. And then just the melee went off. It was crazy. So, yeah, it was kind of scary because, the refs couldn't control it. The players are trying to police it. And then poor Barry, he's challenged by every tough guy on Sheffield. And they had quite a few of them, So it was a scary night, I tell you.
Even though it's scary, those things don't happen very often. So when it all calms down and things, do you realize that that was actually pretty cool to be a part of something like that is obviously going to live on in infamy forever?
Well, the cool part of that was the boys pulling together. That was a team, lack of a better term, I guess, a team bonding kind of thing where you stick up for each other. And, that was a great night for our team and for the fans, because the fans were right there behind us too. So, and my wife was in the stands. She was ready to go. So,
I'm sure none of the Sheffield fans would want to mess with her.
Yeah, I know. I don't. So,
so way before Jimmy Paek came to Nottingham, where did ice hockey come into your life?
Well, let's go. If we go way back, I was born in Korea, raised in Canada, and as you know, everyone plays hockey there. And quickly go through play minor hockey in Toronto, get drafted by the Oshawa Generals, play in the OHL there, the junior league. And from there, get drafted to Pittsburgh, be in their system for a while, get traded here and there and kick around the minors, and ended up in Nottingham. So, and then I retired.
It's a good selling point for Nottingham.
So that's but that was the way to go. I wanted to finish my career out on a high note, and playing in Nottingham, and that's what it was. The fans there, the people there, made some great friends, and the hockey was good. I real good. And as you can see now, how it's England has developed their league. Look, they're in the top division. So they're doing something right over there, and at that time there was a lot of imports and tweaking it here and there for that the British League. It's been great. So it was good hockey. I really enjoyed my time. My wife and I, we had a great time there. My daughter was born in Nottingham, so we have some great memories there. And it was time for me as a player. It was time for me to go, so retire.
And the cool thing about your daughter being born here, that means that you've always, a part of you is always in Nottingham, sort of thing.
Absolutely. And it's a special place, especially when she was born there. So we always talk about it and how multicultural our family really is.
And then obviously you still see the connection you have with the fans. Like when you came back a few years ago and you dropped the puck and you had the big reception and things, that must have been, I can't imagine how cool that must have been.
That was awesome, to be received by the fans that way, and people still remembering you. And, and to be honest, we didn't have the greatest years there. We didn't win anything, but for them to show that affection towards me, it really holds a special place in my heart. Absolutely.
And you say you weren't the greatest team, but I think you were the first team in that building, weren't you? That like the team moved from the old ice stadium to the arena. And
yeah.
Obviously when you move somewhere like that, you're not going to be the best team to start with. So it's about entertaining the fans, about putting on the show and developing that connection with them, like you guys obviously did.
Yeah, no, it was a great facility that they built for us. And I don't know if I wanted to see the old rink. Hearing stories from Hads and Leachy and all those guys, it just, I don't know. But, that old barn had that special connection to the fans. And then they moved to the new one. It's a lot bigger, further away from the players, those type of things. But it was a beautiful facility that I really enjoyed playing in.
And what was it that brought you to Nottingham at that point?
I wanted to try something new. And Gary did a great job of getting me over there. And so, I knew my career was winding down, and I wanted to get in coaching. So kind of being like a player coach title, if you want to say, to be there, was a new part of a new chapter. And I really enjoyed it. And not much coaching went on because you're too busy playing. So that's a real myth, that coaching player coach kind of deal. So, but the guys were great. I had a lot of fun there. And again, in what makes a city, what makes a team, are the fans, for sure, 100%. They're there every night supporting you guys and backing you guys. So, there's lots of energy, and that really makes the team.
Now you've got guys on that team like Randall Webber, like Greg Haddon. Do they help you because they've been in Nottingham for so long? Their numbers are retired in Nottingham now. Do they help you realize how special it is to play in the city?
Oh yeah, for sure. It's that pride of being a Panther, and that was really felt. Those guys are long time, Panthers, and you really feel it. And they don't put you on an island. They bring you on board. They get you thinking their way and playing their way, and it sure is a special place like that.
And obviously you've played at the highest level. You mentioned before the standard over here is quite good. Did the standard of the hockey in England surprise you when you got here?
When I first came in there, it was called the Super League, I guess it was, right? So there was a lot of first-round draft picks, NHL draft picks, a lot of good NHL hockey players that I don't know, fell through the cracks, or finishing out their careers or what have you. But the caliber of hockey was very high.
And then you left Nottingham after one season. And I know from talking to Gary, there's an interesting story of how you ended up coming back to Nottingham. So could you get into that?
Well, there was an opportunity in Anchorage to again be that player coach under Butch Goring. And I knew Butch from way back, watching him play, and then he was coaching, knew him, and he was very successful as a coach. And I kind of wanted him as a mentor and learn from him. So that's why I went to Anchorage with him. And then, once I was there, everything fell apart. They fired him. The team was in shambles. It was tough, right? It was a tough year. I went home and I told Courtney, I said, "Hey, hon, I can't do this anymore. I really can't." And she'll tell you that I'm not one that quits. But it was to that they were breaking me, and it's funny how God works in mysterious ways. So I go home and I tell her I can't. Coming home from Roach, I tell her I can't do this anymore. I gotta go. And next thing you know, it's Gary on the phone. So I don't know if he's got those little bugs or something around, or spying on me or whatever have you. But it was incredible how at that moment, Gary calls and says, "Hey, what do you think about coming back to the Panthers?" And it was a no-brainer. So we packed up the truck, drove 4,000 miles back to Cleveland, Ohio, dropped off the stuff at her parents' place, and got on a plane and flew to Nottingham. So, and the best moment ever, I just going back to Nottingham and coming onto the ice for that first time that year, halfway through the year, and the reception I got, I will never forget. I still get goosebumps I still get goosebumps, and for a player like myself to have that reception, it was awesome.
What do you think it was that helped you connect so much with? Because you always hear Panthers fans always talk about Jimmy Paek even to this day. What do you think it is that helped you connect with them that much more? Because it's always like you're one of the best skating defensemen that they've ever seen, have you? One of the best defensemen overall. But obviously, you can be a good player, but you obviously had something that helped you connect with them on a deeper level.
I don't know. It just I always worked hard, and it didn't matter what the situation was. I always tried to work hard and do the right thing, and I think that's what the Nottingham people are. They are just hardworking folk and want to come out and watch a hockey game and see an honest player play an honest game, and that's what I tried to do.
And obviously, you've played in like the biggest of rivalry games. You've played in Pittsburgh against Philadelphia. And I'm not going to ask you how Panthers Steelers stacks up because it's two different worlds. But is it kind of the same level of intensity when you go into a game like that? Same mentality?
There was nothing like I still hate the Steelers, and I shouldn't say that, but that's so. It runs deep with me, and I was only in Nottingham for a couple of years, right? So, but it runs deep, and that I don't know, that rivalry was a rivalry, and even after all these years, there's still bad blood.
And is it the crowd that gets that over to you? Is it people like Greg Hadden and Randall Webber, or is it the British players and Gary who help get that message across?
No, you know what? I think it's just there. I think it's a combination of everything, and I'm really good friends with Kenny Priestley, and he was a big Steeler at one time, and so, but it was almost to the point where I didn't like him either. So, but it's just a combination of everything, and it was the first thing, I guess, that you feel or you're told of is we have to beat the Steelers. So often we have to beat the Steelers. So I think it's from the get-go, and then it's just a combination of a lot of things. And plus, they're dirty players. My gosh, come on. Oh, come on.
I'm guessing those games just in the lead up to them. Obviously, you're focusing on other games, but those games are always circled on the calendar, aren't they? And as it gets closer,
Absolutely.
You start to get a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. That's as much as you want to downplay it. It's just another game. It's not. It's a big game, and no matter where you are in the standings or where it is or what it is, it's always a big game.
And what also makes those rivalries make the on-ice side of it special. But what I found also from talking to former players and things, people actually really fall in love with the city as well. It's not just the team. They actually fall in love with Nottingham itself.
Well, absolutely. It's a great city, and I still remember my first time there driving on the wrong side of the road, trying to get to the rink. And after someone explained to me how the city was laid out, it took me 4 hours, and it was like 2 kilometers away. So just getting caught in the roundabouts. And Courtney was in the car with me. I'm yelling at her, where are we going? And then as we live there and know the city, and it's just like, oh my gosh, it's right there, So, but it is a beautiful city, and my kids, my son and daughter, they really got to enjoy it when they're older. Last 2 Christmas ago, we were there, so they got to enjoy it and see the city center, and really not much has changed, and but it's a great little city, and we had a great time there.
When you came back and you're walking around with your son and daughter, did you get all sentimental when you see the little spots you used to hang out and things?
Absolutely, and kind of sad to see some of the places shutting down. Our favorite sandwich shop, our favorite takeaway places. But we go back, and my daughter always takes a picture of where she was born, and so we have those memories, and we always go back there, and we always go back to see the friends, which they're lifelong friends.
And outside of the Steelers rivalry, were there any rinks that you really like going to and really like winning in?
Belfast. That was a nice rink. And the Guinness was good, nice and cold. Am I allowed to say that?
You're allowed. After I had Cam Jansen and Brian McGrattan on here, you can say anything you like. they ruined
that must have been a treat to have those guys on. Holy smokes.
You were very much kinder to Sheffield than Brian was, I will tell you that. If I've ever seen a player buy into the Panthers-Steelers rivalry, it's Brian McGrattan, because he still goes at them on Twitter all the time for no reason out of the blue. And like he said to me, it's just because I know they'll react to it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. That's great.
And obviously, when you play in Nottingham, you're on that nice big ice rink, but then you're traveling around to places like Coventry and stuff like that. How did you find the adjustment in the rink sizes and the different atmospheres in the rinks in the UK?
Coming from the small sheet over here in North America, in the States, going to that big sheet, it was tough getting used to it, and then to go back and forth. But at the end of the day, inside the dots, the rinks are the same size. So, that's it was tough getting used to, and tough getting to play that kind of style of hockey when it's you're used to something different. But to go back and forth, and it's always tough. But you adjust, and you adjust to the speed and the size of the rinks and the different atmospheres environment you have to play in too. So,
and it's quite cool when you're traveling around the country on a coach and you get to see all the different sites out of the bus and stuff. Then you get to that rink and it's like, say, Coventry, and it's just different. It's always an adventure wherever you go in the UK now, the Elite League.
Yeah, the only time we really spent anywhere was in Belfast, because we always went the night before. The other cities were always in and out, so we don't see much there. But I remember when what was the team in Scotland that was there that folded?
Edinburgh.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Ayr.
Yeah, Ayr. Yeah, that absolute Ayr. Driving that windy road to the rink, getting bus sick, and I remember that. But thank goodness they folded. But that was a tough trip up there. So,
and like you always hear the term from any away team is bus legs always affect like a first. Our bus legs a real thing.
Yeah. But then now I'm a coach. That's all. Yeah. That's. I don't know if I can swear on this thing.
You're going to plead the fifth.
Yeah. So, that's just an excuse for those players.
Obviously, you came back for that little portion of the season. Was it a no-brainer to come back for a second full season after you came back?
Yeah, that was a no-brainer for sure. No-brainer. It was home. And and I didn't know until at the end of the season that I wanted to retire. But I felt my daughter was born. I couldn't perform the way I wanted to perform, and I thought it was time to leave the game as a player, but stay in some capacity. And I was very blessed to be able to find a coaching job after that. But to finish out in Nottingham, my career, it was awesome. It was really good.
And you can tell just by the way you talk, you had an absolute blast in your 2 and a bit years over here.
You know what? The guys were great. We had a lot of fun. And it was good hockey, which makes it great. And just the whole environment, the whole culture there, It was fantastic, and and I can't talk enough about the people there and how they supported you. Anything you needed and wanted, they were right there, doing what they can, and that makes your life so much easier. And they take the distractions away and let you concentrate on playing hockey. So it's but the people there were fantastic. The staff member, Goody, he's still there, isn't he?
We're never going to get rid of him. We're never going to get rid of him.
So it was really good, really good.
And a guy like Goody, how just I think an equipment manager is almost the most underrated part of any team, aren't they? They look after everyone. They're like the dad of the group almost.
Well, when he first came in, he was greener than green. We seasoned him pretty good, but we had a lot of fun with him. But he stuck it out and did a great job. He took care of us, and whatever we needed, he got it somehow. We needed some sticks or some skates. I don't know how he did it, but he got it for us, so good for him. Don't tell anybody I said that.
I was about to say he's the best, but I don't want to boost his ego any more than it already is. So.
But he worked at it. He wanted to be a trainer when he first came in. He didn't know anything, right? So, but he had passion for it, and he worked extremely hard. When everybody's home sleeping, he's still at the rink, sharpening skates, cleaning things up, and he was by himself. That's the hard part, doing all of that, doing the laundry, doing this. It is a thankless job, and but that he did it well. He did it really well.
And all jokes aside, Goody is. I've been on road trips where you get back from like Belfast at 2 a.m, and the first thing he does is getting all the kit out of the bags, lining it up. He is genuinely the best guy. I know every team will say their guy is the best, but I'm saying Goody is the best equipment manager in the league.
Yes, I'm with you. He is for sure. He likes to have a few and let loose, which he needs to do, and it's great to see.
When that season was coming, did you know you were going to be done playing as the season was coming to a close, or was it after your final game that you knew that was going to be it?
Yeah, after my final game, I kind of knew. Well, actually, it was during that summer. So, yeah, the one an old coach of mine gave me a call and said, "Hey, Jim, what do you think about going over to Italy and playing for me?" So he said, "Coach, give me a couple of days." So I went out for a run, couldn't run, called him back and said, "Hey, I'm done."
That's a good barometer.
Yeah, and I knew too. It was the priorities were changing a little bit towards the family. It was number one, and I couldn't stay at the rink and do what I wanted to do throughout my whole career. And I don't know if I didn't want to make that transition and try to adapt to that lifestyle, but at the end of the day is you want to be your best you can be. You have high expectations for yourself and what standard you can be at, and I didn't think I could keep that standard. So let's try something else.
Then when you look back at your time in Nottingham, is there a moment, a game, a goal, or something that stands out as one that particularly makes you smile, sort of thing?
It's just like where it could have been that 6-on-5 goal where Bob the Builder scored that goal. We set up a play. Forget what city it was, but I just remember Bob the Builder scoring that goal and to get us into the playoffs, I think it was. But to be honest, I didn't score many goals, so I remember saving a few goals behind Jordan Willis there a few times, but it's Just when I think back to my time in the Panthers, it was more about the guys
Mm.
and not they scored or PC Druin scored this beautiful goal from coast to coast or Lee Jinmin scoring this on the power play. It was those guys, those characters that I remember and the dumb things they used to do. And and the young kids like Paul Moran, I still keep in touch with Paulie, and he's doing real well for himself. But I remember telling him and Leaves, hey, you got to work hard, son. You're young kids here. You're first off the ice, and they took that to heart. And Paulie did a great job playing with the Panthers, and I know he liked to throw his fists around, but I think he could have done more. And just some real good character guys that you remember and the times you've had sitting at the back of the bus, and all those little things.
And so you went from playing to coaching like almost instantaneously. It was like there's no gap in between. How did you find that adjustment in such a short space of time?
I thought I knew a lot about hockey, but you see hockey at a different viewpoint when you're coaching. And it takes some learning and a lot of homework and a lot of conversations with other coaches and just watching and learning and thinking back to all the coaches you've had and taking those things you learn from them and bringing it all together and try to do it your way. And as coaches, we keep learning. Every day is something new, and we try to keep reinventing. Well, I try to keep reinventing myself as much as I can, and to connect and build relationships with this new generation of kids. That old style, old time hockey mentality doesn't work anymore. So you have to keep reinventing yourself, learning the game. But the biggest thing when I turned as a coach is I had to worry about 20 players instead of just myself. And so the hamster was busy all the time. You're driving, you're at home, and and my wife is, hey, family's here. Oh, okay, sorry. You're always thinking about hockey. As a coach, as a player, it's hey, what am I going to do today? I got to go to the grocery store. It's a busy day, that thing. So, but it's a lot more hours, a lot of mental stress you put on yourself to learn the game at every position. So, I remember in Grand Rapids, it was Greg Ireland and myself. There was only the two of us, and I had to do goalie drills. I had to try to teach the kids how to play goalie and forwards how to play goal scorers and those things. So, you really keep working and you keep learning and I absolutely love it. I love to teach and continuing to learn and passing on that knowledge. And it's great when the players, you can communicate something to them and they're sponges and they want to say, hey, coach, give me more. So that's exciting. It really is.
And you always say that one of the things that some people struggle with is once you're taken out, that you're not one of the boys anymore, you're the boss. Was that a struggle?
Yeah, I had to draw the line somewhere, and for sure, you're not one of the boys, but I'm a true believer in leading within and sit down and have a meal with the guys. Scotty Bowman drew that line and never crossed it. But I having a meal, sitting down with the guys. I would never go to the bars with them and party like a player. And that's hey, you guys go and here first round's on me. Go and have some fun or whatever have you. But I don't mind. I think that's the way I like to lead is lead within and be a part of that group in a sense, but making those hard decisions as a leader.
It's when that's almost like valuing them as people as well as players.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, and you're not just teaching them hockey. You're teaching them to, because these are young, impressionable kids. You're teaching them how to, what you learned over the years, and how you respect the game and how you respect other people and the players. I think that's a very important part to teach them, and to be good future husbands and fathers, and those type of things. Uh, I think is very important.
And after a few years coaching, you ended up, as you say, at Grand Rapids, which is a pretty, because it's part of the Detroit Red Wings organization, it's pretty prestigious either way, just being associated with them. How did that opportunity come about?
In the hockey world, it's such a small hockey world. So a friend of mine gave me a call and said, "Hey, Grand Rapids is looking for an assistant coach. You might want to call him." And so I gave him a call. I was in Cleveland at the time. I drove from Cleveland to Grand Rapids, which is about 4.5 hours, um, in a suit in the pouring rain, and getting there and getting a face-to-face interview. And the head coach at that time was Greg Ireland, and he gave me the opportunity to coach with him. And we still keep in contact. He just got the job for the Italian national team as a head coach there. So we've kept in contact, and I'm really, really thankful for him to give me that opportunity to come and to coach with him with basically no resume as a coach. And so he took a gamble on me, which is rare to see nowadays. But we did a great job together. It was just the two of us, and I had a great time. I learned a tremendous amount, not only from him, but being under that Detroit Red Wing umbrella, which, at that time when I first came in, Mike Babcock came in also, and his staff. And those guys are just really great hockey minds. And the amount I learned from them was a tremendous amount. And I still use a lot of those things that I learned from them to this day. So, it was a real great education and a real great opportunity.
One thing I've heard, one of the things I've heard about Mike Babcock is that he doesn't like talking about his time at Whitley because he played over here. I've heard he doesn't like talking about it for some reason.
Well, I found an old picture of him playing over there. Oh, what was the city he played in? Blazing Soaks? Was it? I can't remember. Yeah, I can't remember where he played, but I found an old program and a picture of him in there and photocopied it and gave it to him. I don't think he was too happy.
I don't know what happened to him over here, but it obviously wasn't good.
So
obviously, when you're part of an NHL team's like their second team, were there any kids that came through Grand Rapids that you thought, this kid's special, he's gonna go on and be something?
Oh, a lot of those kids came through, and being there for 9 years, you see a lot of kids making an impact now in the NHL. And you look at Thomas Tatar right now; he's still playing. Yuri Hudler, he played for a long time. He made a great. Filipula, Jimmy Howard's still playing. Jonathan Erickson. You go through that Detroit lineup. All those kids went through Grand Rapids, and you saw that they did have something. And and that's what Detroit does. They do a good job of finding these kids and putting them in a culture, an environment for them to grow and develop as players.
And then you speak about culture. That's an organizational thing, isn't it? That starts from the top. And like the Red Wings organization has never been accused of anything other than being a class organization.
Well, absolutely. But when you have players like Stevie Yzerman, Nick Lidstrom, Henrik Zetterberg, Pavel Datsyuk, those guys are character guys. Those guys are the leaders of your franchise and your team, and the hardest working guys. Best players, but hardest working. And you can't help but follow along. And if you don't, you'll be left in the dust. So, that's the environment that you're put in as a young kid, is you're sitting beside Stevie Yzerman, and every day he's working hard. Or Nick Lidstrom, yeah, just Mr. Perfect, so
I'm
tough to
guessing
compete. You gotta work.
I'm guessing those guys that you mentioned, like Lidstrom, Zetterberg, Datsuk, I'm guessing they all just have this presence about them as well when you're around them.
Oh, fantastic guys, though.
Mm.
That's what makes them great athletes, great hockey players, probably the world's best hockey Hall of Famers, but great guys. A story about Nick Lidstrom is, in training camp, I brought my son and took a picture because I'm a Nick fan.
Mm.
Who isn't, right? But it can take a picture with my son, and yeah, no problem. And then after I'll give you this sign. You can sign a stick for you, and you can give it to your son. Well, I forgot about it. Now you left for Grand Rapids. Next thing you know, the trainer hands me a stick from Nick Lidstrom. Like, come on, like what guy does that? And so, that's the character guys that are leading your organization. Guys like that, great people, great hockey players, and and that's what makes it special there.
And then after so many years in Grand Rapids, did you always know that you wanted to get involved with the national team in South Korea?
It's always been in the back of my mind, being born in Korea. And I've always done work coming back and forth, doing hockey clinics, doing those type of things, keeping in contact over there, but never realized that anything would happen. So when I got the phone call, it was, hey, Jim, we'd like you to coach the Korean national team. I still had a year on my contract in Grand Rapids with Detroit. And that was a tough decision because you have to uproot your family now.
Mm.
And it's more than just hockey. It's a lot of factors are involved. And but again, my wife, my biggest supporter, says, "You crazy? This is your dream. You don't you remember? Like, take the job. I'll do whatever I have to do, but I think this is a great opportunity for you." And it turned out to be a fantastic opportunity for me, and I'm loving every day here, except now through the Corona, but the COVID-19. But it's been an incredible ride. Up to the Olympics, through the Olympics, and now, signing that extension and moving into my last year of my contract. So, but.
And then when does it hit you that you've made it as the national coach? Is it when you're on the bench and the anthem plays and you've got all the players around you? Is that when it like really hits you and the goosebumps hit for the first time?
It's that first time, you're so busy preparing and you're so busy trying to get the win, and how do you win, and playing the game, and then afterwards you win the game, and you're standing there listening to the Korean national anthem. Is just like, yeah, this is pretty cool, this is really good. So, but where I felt it the most, all that, the process of the 4 years leading up to the Olympics, and after that final game, just everything hit me all at once, and the emotions just ran through me. And I still get choked up about it. It's just it was such, because you're so busy for so long and trying to achieve a goal, and then it's all over. All of a sudden, it's all over. Now, what do you do? And we did some great things. We made it up to the top division. We played in the Olympics, and the experiences that these players had playing all over the world, and the Channel One Cup in Russia, and opportunities that South Korea would never have. It's like you're coaching South Korea. Do they have hockey? Yeah.
We get that in England.
Yeah, we're 16 in the world, now 18, but it's the players did an incredible job. The organization, the owner, the president did a fantastic job of supporting hockey and making what hockey is today in Korea.
And that kind of takes us up to the present day. But I would be remiss if we didn't go and talk about your time in Pittsburgh as well, and your time, your brief little stint in LA. But what I first want to ask is, when you're in the juniors in Canada, when did you first realize that the NHL was a real possibility for you? Was it a moment a coach said to you that you could make it, sort of thing?
You know, you never know, and you always think, but once you get drafted, you get your foot in the door, and you know, I was a late pick. They don't even have 9 rounds
Yeah,
anymore in the
that's true.
NHL. So, you know, at least I was drafted. I had my foot in the door. Now here, hey, I got a chance. You know, how am I going to get there now? You know, and getting a plan and working hard, and hopefully all the ducks will line up, and you get an opportunity, and you know, never give up, because it took a while. You know, I was drafted in '85, and my first exhibition game was in 1990. So it took a long time to get there.
And did you have any inclination that someone's gone, hey, you might actually it might be Pittsburgh?
No, I had no idea it was going to be Pittsburgh. I thought it was Vancouver, tell you the truth. But you know, as the rounds go on and on, you're just thankful that someone did notice you, and someone did pick you. You know, it's one of those draft days it's one of those days you look forward to as a player, and when you go through it, it is hell. Sitting there, all your buddies are gone, and you're getting into the later rounds. Am I going to go? Am I not going to go? And so it's real nerve-wracking. So
And then, as the first Korean player ever drafted in the NHL draft, that's kind of like a legacy sort of thing, is it? Now you're a bastion of hope for other Korean players that you can do this, you can go and make it into the NHL. That must be a pretty cool feeling.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, you know what? That is cool. And for being over here and people saying that, you know, for me, I was just a hockey player trying to make the NHL. And, you know, but for Korean boys to say, hey, Jim, I remember you in Pittsburgh and this and that. And man, you're, you know, and making that relationship, and that being Korean and you're Korean, and it's fantastic. You know, it gave me hope, and it said, really, well, that's fantastic, man. Yeah, keep working hard, keep working hard. So, you know, it's a truly an honor when people say that and think of you in that way.
And obviously, being from Korea, did you ever meet any resistance on your way up through the ranks, sort of thing? Because obviously, hockey is perceived as the big thing at the moment is racial injustices and hockey, kneel for hockey and things like that. Did you ever have any experiences like that? Or
You know, now you're getting into another topic here that we can go on for days. But you know, what I truly believed is that I was a hockey player, and the more you made at that stuff, the more it becomes an issue, and it alters your game. You know, like criticize my skating, criticize my, you know, like, you know, call me, say racial. I haven't heard that before. Come on, give me something different, give me something new. So it was water off a duck's back, and then I look up at the scoreboard, and we're winning the game. So, ha ha ha. You know, so I think the more you make out of it, the more it'll be, and. I just wanted to be a hockey player. And the beauty of it is I really didn't feel that from the other players either. You know, of course, there's some incidences, and you go into a small town when you're playing in the minors, and some idiot yells something stupid. It's just like, whatever. But, you know, at times, though, you got to stand up and fight, and make it known that, hey, that's not right. So, you know, you pick and choose your spots, and I think that's the same with everybody, though, isn't it? Like, you know, you're always criticized about something, and but I think the main point is the more you make out of it, the more it's an issue it's going to be. Just play hockey.
Like you said, you're a hockey player. That's it.
Yeah, I'm a hockey player. I'm on the ice. wanting to win, battle for the puck just as much as you. You know, and in that sense, race, religion, whatever you want to, it doesn't matter. You know, if you have more will to compete and win to win that battle, I'm going to win. And it doesn't matter who you are. If you have the will, you're going to win. So it's just a weak person losing has to make those comments. So you know where that's coming from. And then, sorry, but behind you, right? So,
And then you evidently had that will. You made it all the way. You get that call up to Pittsburgh. You walk into that room. And now they're not just around the organization. You're now teammates with Mario Lemieux, Jaromir Jagr, full mullet in flow, I assume. Mark Recchi. What's it like walking into that room as a teammate?
I was a fan. Oh my gosh. You know, it's just like, hey, can I have Mario? We called him Ace. Hey, Ace, can I have your autograph? You know? So, hey, can I have your stick? Can you sign a stick for me? So I was a fan too, you know, and how can you not be? Like these guys are, and like I said before, they're just great guys. Like Jaromir was, he was 18 years old. He sat beside me in the dressing room, you know, and you know, I learned a lot of bad language, bad Czech words from him. So, you know, and he was a real young, immature young guy that worked extremely hard, that had talent, like, oh my gosh, but he worked at it, you know. And like you see a lot of these great players, they all work hard. They all work hard.
And then could you tell then how good he was going to be at 18 years old? Was he just next level?
You can tell. I didn't know the longevity of it though, but his work ethic, and I understand now why he has lasted so long. You know, he was always in the weight room after practice and working on those legs. Like, you can't get the puck off of him. You know, he's got such a big ass and big legs that you can't get the puck away from him. Sorry, it's a little noisy. My son's trying to do homework.
That's fine. And one interesting name on who you've played with is a guy called Tom Barrasso, who coached Sheffield for a little bit over here. Because now I know he's not very media friendly, but what do you remember about Tom?
Yeah, he wasn't media friendly.
He wasn't over here.
Yeah, no, and that's his personality. If you understand Tom, you get along fine with him. You talk cars, you talk golf. Well, he'll talk to you all day long, you know. And he was on fire during those playoffs in the Stanley Cup run. I've never seen. I was scared. I was scared of him, tell you the truth. I never wanted to score on him or hit him or anything like that, because he could fire a puck. So if he didn't like how you shot the puck, he'd grab it and shoot it right back at you. So, but you know, Tommy's Tommy. He's a goalie, as everybody knows. Goalies are a little
different.
But you know, Tommy and I, we got along fine. I don't know if he says that about me, but you know, I liked him. I understood him. I talked golf and I talked cars, and that's what he loved, and that's where. But who cares? He stopped the puck.
Yeah, yeah.
he stopped the puck, right? So do whatever you want to do. Just stop the puck, and you know. But you know, that locker room in Pittsburgh at that time, we were close. Those guys were great guys. We had that first year, Brian Trottier. You couldn't ask for a better guy. Ronnie Francis. You kidding me? Larry Murphy. All these guys are just incredible. You know, all these
Rick Tocchet was there as well.
Rick Tocchet and Mark Recchi, and then you got Samuelson, Shell Samuelson. The list goes on, and then you got the role players of Troy Loney and Bob Airy, and those guys were the backbone. Phil Bork, the backbone of the team, and then you get some young guns in there like Sean McEachran came in, and Scott Young, and you know, all these other guys, and Paul Stanton. And, he had a heck of a team. And then in the first year, it was led by Bob Johnson, the most positive coach I've ever known in my life. But the guys, it was a country club atmosphere, and I'll be honest with you, we didn't practice very hard, uh, but when it came to play, they played. And then after the game, I've never seen guys ride bikes in my life like they did. They knew how to get in shape, and they rode lots of bikes, and they knew how to win. And but and then your leader is Mario. He's that game changer. You need a goal. Okay, here I'll get you a couple goals, and let's go. And he was never vocal, but he sure showed it on the ice. And I, and during that year, we won the cup. I don't think a lot of people know what he went through. Um, he never wore socks. He wore slippers because he couldn't bend over. He was in that much pain all year long, and he never tied his skates. The trainer came in. He had a special box made, put his feet up, and the trainer came in and tied the skates for him. And then he went out on the ice and did what he did. It is just, a lot of people don't know what he went through. And on top of that, the pressure that he had to bear. I'm thankful that we did win for him and Pittsburgh, and it was a fantastic time.
How important was it for you to be around that group who, like, obviously you played a few playoff games in 1991, and you were more involved in the team the second year, but how important was it for you to be around that group in the playoff run the first year?
And so I was I finally made the team, but I was on the depth chart, the 9th defenseman that year. So Bob Johnson sent me to Team Canada, and Team Canada at that time had a full-time team. So Pittsburgh flipped the bill, sent me there to get the ice time. And then we were traveling around some small town in BC. I get a phone call from Craig Patrick and says, "Hey, come on back for the playoffs. You'd be a Black Ace. You're 9th on the depth chart." Okay, yeah, no problem. Jumping up and down. I'm getting out of here. This is great. So I was real excited to get to the big team and to see how they acted and played. And I'll never forget Bob Johnson, Badger Bob, saying, "Hey, Jimmy, keep working hard. You never know what's going to happen." And sure enough, 3 defensemen go down. And here, all of a sudden, I'm put into the Washington series. Like, are you kidding me? So how does that ever happen? 3 defensemen get hurt. Now you're their 6th defenseman. You get into the lineup, you play, you make an impression. But for him, as a coach, saying, be prepared and work hard, allowed me to stay and make that impression. And so I will never forget that. And, and then everybody got healthy. And then when it came down to the finals in Minnesota, Bob Johnson put me back in, youth and enthusiasm, I guess. And by doing that, I was able to contribute on the ice and score my first NHL goal and raise the cup and assisted by Mario Lemieux. So how do you write that any better? Yeah, that's it's just an incredible story that you couldn't write any better. So.
And can you describe the feeling of lifting that Stanley Cup?
Oh, you go over it every day when you're playing street hockey. You're pretending to lift the cup growing up, and then you finally do it, your dream, and it's like you're invincible. Like I can do anything, and what an incredible feeling that is. And then once you taste that, you want it again and again, and but you can't forget, you got to work for it and how you get there. That you lose touch a little bit and lose that sense of entitlement of hey, I want to stand the cup, I deserve this. No, you don't deserve anything. Don't forget how you got this. And so that's a little advice for those young kids out there.
And did you get your day with the cup? Was that a thing back then still?
Yeah, we had a nice party with the family, and I had a kind of a second family in Pittsburgh that we had a party at their house, and brought the cup home to Toronto and had a party in Toronto. in our backyard with family and friends, and we had a great time. And I didn't do anything crazy, and you see all these things that these guys do, but it was just a great time to appreciate the Stanley Cup and thank my parents for allowing me to do this and all their support. And it was you really think back and how did you get this? How did you get this far? And it's all your family members supporting you, your teammates and friends, and you can't forget that.
As I say, it's the hardest team trophy to win, and then you go and do it again the next year.
And we should have done it a third time. That's disappointing. I don't know if I should think that way, but I'm thankful we won 2 back to back. But we should, we had a great year that year, and we should have won it 3 in a row. And no, what an incredible team though, and again that organization and top down, putting a team together. But and the players, oh my gosh, leaders in that room are just incredible. It was a no-brainer that we won, so especially when you have Mario.
Yeah, that'll help. And what's the? I know it's not the same at all, but what is the difference? Is it a different sense of accomplishment from being part of a team that wins the Stanley Cup to being part of a coaching staff that wins the Calder Cup? Is there the same sense of accomplishment almost in there?
Oh, I think more so as a coach, and especially in the American League, in the Calder Cup. That's a tough trophy to win. For the 9 years that I was down there, it's just like, wow, this is tough, because the big team sends down their best players, and the big team, they're making a run, so they take your best players, so your roster is constantly changing, and then you're trying to figure things out, and every round is different. It's a tough trophy to win, and the preparation you'd have to do. So to win that Calder Cup in Grand Rapids that year, wow, it was a great feeling.
And then, like all good things, your time in Pittsburgh did come to an end, and you got traded to LA. Now that's not a little trade. That's not like going to New York from Pittsburgh. That's going the other side of the country. So first up, before we get into who you go and play with out in LA, what's that experience like of being told you've been traded?
That was my first trade, and I was heartbroken because I play hockey and I live and breathe that crest, and to be traded from a team that you worked so hard to get on and have loyalty, it was tough. It really was. And but you realize so that LA wants you, try to make them better, those type of things, and try to be positive. And the hard part about it was my parents were at the game in Pittsburgh, and them hearing the news and seeing the look on my mother's face, that was heartbreaking. But that's all part of the game, where you have to move on to a different team or wherever have you, and do your best there to help them, what you did in Pittsburgh, to help the other team the same way.
Is that when it hits you that it is a business as well as a sport sort of thing?
Yeah, for sure. It is a business, and everybody's looking at the bottom line. And I don't know if I was breaking the bank or anything like that, but I was just the thrown in for the deal or whatever have you. But I wasn't playing at that time, and so I thought this was a good opportunity for me to go somewhere that I could play and try to help make them make the playoffs and do that. So, but
and better weather in LA as well.
Is what a lifestyle! What a lifestyle change. I remember eating lunch every day on the beach, Manhattan Beach. Watching the waves, and it's just like, wow, what is this? What is this? movie stars in the dressing room, rubbing elbows with all these guys, and it's just like, oh, hey, I saw you on TV. Well, I saw you on the big screen. But it was a different world, and um, but it was a lot of fun. It was a great experience.
So you go from being around Jaromir Jagr, Mark Recchi, Mario Lemieux, all these guys, to being around Rob Blake, Jari Kurri, Luc Robitaille, and you know where this is finishing, Wayne Gretzky.
Yeah.
Tell me about that locker room.
Marty McSorley would come in every day. Hey, Gretz, how's my wife and kids? Oh, no, how's your wife and my kids? That's what he would say. So, it was a bunch of great guys. A lot of characters in that room. Marty was a great character. You had the strong, silent type in Jari Kurri, and Gretz was quiet. Lucky Luke, and it is a great dressing room, great guys, and but it was a different atmosphere, different culture, a lot of distractions, and it was tough to adjust to. It was culture shock for sure. It's hockey, but it's still culture shock and tough to get used to, I guess. But I wasn't there long enough to get adjusted to it. So.
And could you see the difference between, obviously Mario Lemieux is one of the all-time great players, but could you tell the difference between him and Wayne Gretzky when you're actually around Gretzky, not just having to defend him potentially?
Both great guys, both cared about their teammates, both loved their team. I thought Mario could play by himself and win a game. Gretzky made everyone around him better. But how do you say who's better? They're both great.
Yeah.
I was very fortunate enough to see him break Gordie Howe's record when I was there. And what an event that I'll never forget. We were playing Vancouver. He scores that goal. They stop the game. The owner rolls out. He comes out in a Rolls Royce convertible during the game. Like, this is crazy. What is this? Only in LA.
They're the memories that stick with you for a lifetime, though.
Yeah, exactly.
And then from all this, you can obviously tell what the game of hockey means to you, and how much it means to you that you're still involved in it.
Hockey's everything. Everything I have is because of hockey, and I owe a great deal to this game, and I respect it very much, and that's how I see it. I have to respect it, and then it'll continue to give, hopefully. But I just really love being a part. I feel like a kid. I'm 53 years old now, but being around these young kids all the time and teaching them and getting on the ice, I don't feel that old. But I have been truly blessed to be a part of this game.
Well, I can't thank you enough for all your time you've given me today. This has been incredible. I hope you're back on the ice soon, and I hope we get to see Jim Paek back in Nottingham again in the not too distant future.
Oh, maybe. You never know. You never know. That'd be great. I'd love to be there. So I appreciate your time and thinking of me for this time. So thank you so much, Dan.